Thank you, Peter. Conservative activist Phyllis Schlafly made some controversial comments about unmarried women at a recent fundraiser for a congressional candidate. Listen to this.
One of the things Obama's been doing is deliberately trying to increase the percentage of our population that is dependent on government for your living. And, for example, do you know what was the second biggest demographic group that voted for Obama? Unmarried women. 70% of unmarried women voted for Obama. And this is because when you kick your husband out, you got to have big brother government to be your provider. And they know that.
So what do you think of those comments? Here to debate it are Tammy Bruce, conservative syndicated radio talk show host and Fox News contributor, and Jamu Green, president of the Women's Media Center. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Tammy, you're a conservative. When you hear a fellow conservative say something like that, what do you think?
Well, I think that there's an old guard out there. And I think Ms. Green and I probably would agree in the fact that it's that kind of comment that really kind of smears women in general. The problem is that's not a conservative ideal. I think that there would also be agreement on the idea that, in fact, also, though it is easier in this economy especially, when you have family. I don't think that that's debated. I think it's a lot of reason why a lot of people still have their older adult children living with them. But the bottom line is, we have a political class that's created an economic environment, now led by Barack Obama, that in a way requires a culture of dependence, if you will. And what I think is best for women, I think all feminists would agree, is being able to be financially independent enough to be able to make decisions and choices that best suit us. Whenever you're reliant on a check from anybody, whether it's the government or whether it's a boyfriend or a husband, and you can't make choices that best suit you, women are in trouble. So I think that in part we are looking at an economy that she's right about when it comes to the culture of dependence. But on the other hand, of course, independent women, single mothers and married mothers do want to be independent, and I think she sells them short.
So, Jamu, how do you disagree with Tammy on the point that women need to be empowered to do the best that they can and not be dependent?
Well, I think the idea that Tammy talks about as far as being dependent on a check is an important one that we should drill down. Women are in many ways dependent on their paychecks. And right now we make 25% less than men for doing the same work. And I think that it is absolutely not about being dependent on the government or dependent on a partner or a spouse. The fact is that right now, women are making less for doing the same amount of work, and unfortunately Schlafly has been making a career out of trying to stop women from having a career.
It's such a complicated issue, is it not? Because that's also a very good point. I mean, women do make less than men, about 77 cents to the dollar, so that factors into this. But this also factors into it, Tammy, that the percent of all U.S. births to unmarried women is now 39.7%. That was 2007. Undoubtedly, it could be higher now. That factors into it as well, right?
Well, you know, first of all, Phyllis Schlafly, that's a straw woman, if you will. I think there's an agreement, while she perhaps, some people have admired her work in the past, is out of step with what American women are doing right now. Bottom line is, we've got to have an economic dynamic where women, if they want to be single parents, can be, or men who want to be single fathers. You know, there's a whole framework here that we've got a dynamic now led by the Obama regime that's destroying the ability of everybody, especially parents, to be able to make the choices that they want to be able to make. And this is where, interestingly enough, of course, the conservative ideal, Ms. Green, I think would be hard to disagree with this notion that we've got to be financially strong enough to be able to be personally free, and certainly the liberal agenda doesn't do that for us.
To be financially strong enough is to get equal pay, and the fact that President Obama has been pushing the Paycheck Fairness Act for many years is, I think, an important piece to know.
Come on, we've got to have jobs in order for paychecks to matter.
It's not about women.
We've got to be able to have jobs for paychecks to matter.
It is the impact for men and women. And it's interesting to note that actually the unemployment benefits that many conservatives didn't want to see extended, that actually the majority of people getting unemployment benefits right now are men. And we've talked about the man session.
I got to wrap it up. I got to wrap it up there, Tammy.
Equal pay.
But you both had excellent points today. You both had excellent points. Thanks so much for a very interesting debate. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, ladies.